That's patreon.com/Grade Cricket if you want to join our wonderful community happening there. Now, Pez, New Zealand versus Australia, that second T20, feels like it was about a month ago. It's a few days ago. This is a very stretched out series, isn't it? Playing 5 T20s, and there was none on the weekend for some reason, but they played one. When was this game played? Wednesday or something? Something like that?
Thursday, yeah.
And Australia almost got out of jail, but they didn't. They lost that game as well. Now they're 2-0 in the series. Now, this is more evidence that New Zealand are a very, very good team, aren't they, at home?
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Isn't this the problem
Welcome to the cast.
T20 and T20 cricket generally, that they seem contextless unless you get them all in a big series like a World Cup?
That's right, and I think that relates to the Finch discussion, which we'll have in a second.
Sure.
But that's right. We were sitting on the couch preparing to record that Mark War Carrots cast.
Yeah,
on
casting
Patreon.com/cricket. And we just wanted to watch Josh Philippe bat.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I was like, and he was starting to motor a little bit. And it got to a stage where Australia still needed a fair few. And you, I think, were drinking a cup of tea with one leg crossed over the other. And you said, they'll lose this.
Yeah.
And you were right. You were completely... I know. God, I thought, well, they actually got quite close.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like that. And it's difficult to read this series. I only say that because Australia's losing.
With New Zealand, have they ever been in a better place globally than right now? Leadership intact. Multiculturalism, in tech, yeah. Multiculturalism in the cabinet, check. Yeah. Cricket, 2 times World Cup finals in the last couple of years. World Test Championship final coming up. Yeah. They've sorted the rugby hooted about, when they had some choking staff. They won a couple.
Not great at the moment, but they'll be fine.
They'll be fine. Won a couple of World Cups. COVID management, first country to eradicate the virus. Did so for like 100 days. But what do the Kiwis really want? Like, what do they really want? And I think what they really want to do is fucking smash Australia in the cricket. That's what they want at the moment. Maybe need. And it's a bit like they want a hug from Dad. And Dad's come over. Dad's come to watch. But it's not the best form of Dad, is it? So there's a bit of an excuse there already. But they just want to fucking smash Australia, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's what they really want. And they're kind of getting it, but kind of not.
We're not paying attention to them.
Not paying attention to them
because you've just pointed out that as a nation, they're quite actualised. I mean,
yeah, they are.
The Western world is falling apart, it's crumbling. We've already said it's the Asian century.
Yeah.
There's lots of other things happening globally, a lot of forces at play that would suggest that, we're on the brink of revolution at some point, unless the tech companies can just keep us feeding our data back and we just stay in the bubbles and just stay trapped.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's a different cast. But New Zealand, for the reasons you said, are really doing well. And still, Australia, the big brother, we don't take notice. We don't really. We go, that's cute. And that's our own insecurity, isn't it? I mean, this is a country that in a couple of months' time could be holding the World Test Championship aloft at Lord's, a trophy that we believed was ours.
Yeah.
And we now need
we'll win that.
And we now need England to win. We now need the country that enjoys others losing more than themselves winning to win against India away.
If England had to get to a day 3, I'd feel a little bit confident.
Yeah.
But a win, that's different realm.
So what does that say? It really just shows that it will take a lot for Australia to pay attention to anybody else.
And this is also kind of the point that Simon Doull and who else was saying it? Ashwin? No, Simon Doull and who was it talking about last week?
No, I think Ashwin had said Devon Conway was 4 days too late.
Yeah,
He's 100.
sorry. You're right.
Getting picked up in the IPL.
And they're saying like there's heaps of New Zealand players who are overlooked. And that's just another great case in point. It's just like New Zealand fucking absolutely smashed India.
Yeah.
And look how good India are. And it's a bit like...
That first game was played on a really big ground with like objectively long boundaries.
The biggest
89.
New Zealand ground I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I still saw a lot of reports and commentary on Twitter of like, you just got to chip those sixes on this postage stamp. It's like, do you use your eyes? But it's the stereotype. It's like, when you play in New Zealand, firstly, rugby nation, they're playing on rugby fields. No, they're not. That's just what you've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And secondly, so you just chip sixes on postage stamp. That's it.
Yeah.
So sorry, New Zealand.
It's a bit like when you see games at North Sydney Oval and it's like, it's tiny. And then you actually play there yourself and it's like, it's like quite big.
It's a normal sized ground for adults. Yeah.
Anyway, so well done, New Zealand. You're going to win this series. And I've given up all hope. Now, Stoinis, I want to talk about the Australian side. Stoinis did something good. He scored some runs. Now, he's got a good record in New Zealand, doesn't he? Because he scored that 147, I want to say. Yeah. And that's when he sort of came to fruition into the Australian public conscious mind. One of the great innings. And won the game for his country. And then since
they didn't win that game.
I was in the losing side, wasn't it?
It was
in the
Hazelwood
losing
was run
side.
out. Yeah.
That's right, I was in the losing side. But since then, I feel like Stoinis, he had a really rough World Cup in 2019. It's just sort of petered out a little bit. He's got a great Big Bash record opening and batting, then comes into the Australian setup and he has to bat in the middle order, which is obviously the hardest place to bat in T20 cricket, it seems like anyway. And I guess his performances, he would say himself, would be a little bit inconsistent for what he has to offer. But like, so I wonder, do you think at all he was in any way close to being like part of a conversation of like, could find something better here?
I think he has. I mean, he has been in and out, especially with the ODI side as well.
I guess he's been injured as well with that man.
Yeah. So I think the question is, what's his long-term place? What are they? I mean, I think they do give him a lot of opportunities, which is great, as they should. He's a really good cricketer, but they seem to be a little bit unsure about the balance of his T20 side, don't they? There was a lot of chat before that last innings he played that perhaps the number 5 or 6 needs to be a little bit more of that classic number 6 who can come in and whack it straight away or go through the gears or rescue an innings, whereas Stoinis kind of had that one mono sort of managed way of doing an innings, but he proved that wrong in the last game, and he nearly brought him home.
That's always the thing when you come into a World Cup year, like even in ODIs, the 50 over stuff, where you're coming into a World Cup year and then they're just trying to figure out their team, and it feels like the last like 2 World Cups that Australia have gone into, they haven't given a fuck about it really. Then it comes into the year of the World Up and like, okay, let's just start trying to piece some stuff together here. Now it's obviously hard when like at the moment us in
the side,
the test players were supposed to be in South Africa, and then they've committed to that. So like there's probably 4 or 5 guys, 4 of the best players as well who aren't playing in this team. So it even still feels a little bit like patchy in terms of what are we actually trying to learn from this.
Yeah.
But one thing that I do like seeing is we watch Philippe bat. And yeah, he's a real deal.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
He's a real deal. And another guy I reckon who's come from like the Gilchrist, like I said this a while ago, like, when Warren was bowling, it's like, this is going to prove to be a great generation of leg spinners because he's going to inspire all these young people. And it's like, oh no, you can't do that unless you have enormous hands and you're a freak. Whereas wicketkeeper batsmen are fucking everywhere. And it's all because of Gilchrist, I'm sure. He has changed the game entirely. And he's just another one who's a wicketkeeper who's an amazing stick.
Yeah. I felt like Australia was heading into last year's almost T20 World Cup in Australia in a really good position.
Yeah.
I thought they'd actually built it and they were getting quite serious about winning that. And it feels like probably due to COVID circumstance and the fact that their players aren't there and there's not been a lot of T20I cricket, they're sort of a bit back to square one. There seems to be a little bit of 2019 World Cup feel to it of like, oh, we haven't really paid much attention to this. I've contradicted myself because I've said they were good to go a few months ago. And now they're not. It just goes to show the recency bias you have with everything. But it's hard to see how this T20 side comes together and whether we should give them a break because of the South Africa stuff that happened or whatnot. Langer's not over there. I mean, is it experimental? Is it not? And then I know you're about to introduce this and you've got the Finch question.
Well, that's it. That's kind of the big question at the moment. The big talk now about Aaron Finch is that I think he's averaged 15 in his last like 4 series going back to the IPL, the Big Bash, and some international games before then as well. And George Bailey has said that he's definitely going to be the captain for the World Cup. He's the only selector in New Zealand at the moment. Finch is, it's been suggested anyway, if nothing else, that Finch has really struggled with the bubbles. He's been in bubble for almost a year, I think.
Right.
In and out of bubbles in one capacity or another. I know there was an article as well written about his wife was getting abuse from like problem gamblers, basically, who was saying like, he fucked their multi or some shit. It's fucking the grimmest shit, man. It's fucking grim. But I wonder if it's almost like he needs to be taken out a bit, or because I mean he is inarguably one of the best ever short form players Australia's ever produced. He's the captain, but he ain't scoring any runs. And we watched that game, the second game. It's like, yeah, he's real out of form. Yeah,
I'm not sure that we have the frames in Australia to like understand how to approach this, because I think historically there's a couple of basic things that define how you get selected, like incumbency is a big one.
Yeah.
And obviously form is another one, but they're very related to like historic ways of looking at cricket, like I don't know if that works for Finch or it doesn't. I get the sense that they feel like he'll come good, and it almost kind of concedes that a lot of these games don't matter. They're like, well, BBL, what the fuck's that? Who cares?
Yeah.
This guy, he's a big time player.
Yeah,
or like, he was out of form ahead of the ODI World Cup, then scored a couple of tons there as well. He was fine. And they're sort of, with this as well, it's like, well, we don't even have our side here. The game's not for a few months. He's been in the bubble. Give him a few months off. He'll be fine. We back him. Ordinarily, you'd come back and say, just for argument's sake, you'd go, well, he's 34.
Yeah.
So is something gone? Is he losing something? But again, it's T20 cricket. It's ODI cricket. It's not like you have to have, sustained spells of bowling facing Bumrah and guys who are really going to test your defence and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, can you still hit? We've seen a lot of guys in T20 cricket carry on their careers deep into their 30s and beyond. You wouldn't put that past Finch. So it's really difficult to know how to look at it. If you get some of the old school guys going, well, he's out of form, his average is bad, he's not really contributed many runs, time for somebody else. I don't even know what sort of stability a captain brings in T20I cricket when they don't even see each other.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if the old ways of looking at it are that helpful, but the old ways are all we have, because in Australia, all we do is think about things in old ways. Back to the war era. If it's the war era, he's gone. He's Mark Taylor. He's got one innings to save his life, But it seems to me that what George Bailey's saying and Stoinis and all these guys have just gone into bat for him 100%. And it's kind of heartening to see. And it occurred to me that what they're really saying is he's got credits in the bank. We understand that frame, credits in the bank. And he's got not just credits, but good bloke credits.
Those are fucking huge.
It's like he's a great. Like, how many times do you hear them say he's a great guy? And I like seeing this. You can actually keep your spot in the side by being a great guy. This is a good change, I think.
That's the most relatable thing in club cricket ever.
Yeah,
he's good. He's good around the group. We'll just
good
get it
around
done.
the group. We like him. We like having him.
I wonder though if
you've got 1,000 openers banging the door down.
Now, who had the longest grace period? The War brothers, Ponting towards the end.
No.
Like I wonder if Finch has done that much for the country.
What's the formula? Yeah, it's hard to see
Because the end of Steve Waugh's career.
Yes, I do.
It was a tough watch. A tough watch.
Well, it was tough.
And I say that as him being my surrogate father.
Of course. Of course. And I wouldn't want to criticise Daddy.
Oh, of course. Oh, of course.
I know. I mean, blokes were bowling, and he was commencing his backlift, and it was just hitting him on the shoulder.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
But it was Steve Waugh.
Yeah, Steve Waugh. He had more to it. Now, I don't know if Finch has the same cachet.
Well, we were watching him
But can you get cachet in T20?
The whole point is we don't know what's going on in T20
That's
cricket,
right,
and a lot of
that's
people
right.
don't. I mean, we're watching him bat. He doesn't look like he can hit one off the square at the moment.
No.
Everyone's gone through that. But when you're 34, the next question is, have the eyes gone?
Have the eyes gone?
But you
Run
can
out of
ask that.
carrots.
You can ask that in Test cricket. I think you've run out of carrots, and I don't mean it from a horse perspective.
No, this is an eye thing.
From final furlong, energy carrots
The
left.
energy carrots. Yeah.
It's actually eyesight.
That's right.
But it's T20 cricket, so you're swinging. He might start middling them. I don't know. He might start middling them. Also, good bloke, and they like him. I say play on, because none of these things really matter.
Well, that's it. The doesn't matter bit is interesting, because in football sense, when a guy's out of form and he just needs to be taken out. He just not with the sniper.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know that. Yeah,
just remove from.
You want to shoot him.
You want to shoot him because he's got a broken leg and he's sent to the glue factory. Aaron Finch is going to be sent to the glue factory because we're all horse stuff.
Because we're all horses. At the end of the day,
Aaron Finch is a yoo-hoo stick.
Yeah, he's a yoo-hoo stick. When's he going to become a yoo-hoo stick? Yeah,
But my point. Okay, like in tennis, right? On the ATP tour, they don't need to be in the form of their life 12 months a year. They taper for the 4 majors, right? And like in
peaks and troughs.
Peaks and troughs.
Horses
exactly.
drinking at the trough.
Footballers, soccer players, they play almost 12 months of the year now. They don't need to be in the best form of their life. They're almost expected to be in the best form of their life 12 months, but that's not possible. So what happens is they sort of rotate them a bit. They take them out of the side. Sometimes they need to be taken out of the side. But because of the inconsistency of schedule and how often does this group actually come together, and he's the captain, can you actually just fucking go home for a bit and just look after that side of your brain for a bit, but then can he come back and still hit sixes off the front dog? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I don't know who the net guys are that can see whether guys can still bomb them. There's no doubt he's 12 or 14 or whatever it was essentially cost them the game.
Oh yeah, it did. I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a postage stamp. Even if it's 90-metre boundary.
Yeah, sure. You use your feet. Hey, that third match is on Wednesday, which is in Wellington.
Just with Finch, sorry, we're literally one ex-player away, 1 day away from someone saying he's got to put the bat away, and get the golf clubs out. That's part of the bingo of somebody who's near retirement, isn't it?
I remember.
Just put them away and just get the golf clubs out and have a hit, and just take your mind off it. Now, what about I want to see my family?
Do you reckon the fear of getting out in cricket is the most crippling thing? Because I remember going through now this didn't happen to me very often, but sometimes I went through a bit of a lean run of form with the runs in my playing career pairs. Didn't happen very often. But
right.
I remember
consistent player.
I remember getting some, yeah. And I remember getting some advice from I say he was a friend, but he was in a lower grade, so it was more of just I sort of knew his name broadly. And, he was an associate, and he just said
junior associate.
Yeah, he was older than me, but but he was junior in that relationship.
You're looking off to the side here while you're talking.
What are you looking, mate? I'll run out of carrots. And he was just like, mate, you just need. I just fucking couldn't get off the square, and I was just like, mate, you just need to go out there, clear that front leg, and just fucking swing from the hip. And I was like, if I get out like that, I could. Everything could end for me.
Mate,
I'm burning down clubhouses if that happens.
I don't even know how to clear my front leg. That's also a skill.
Yeah.
Oh,
if I just have a carefree attitude and just fucking look into the sky and swing from the hip, then I just need one shot.
Mate, I can't see
it's
the
not
ball.
fucking Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
I can't see the ball.
I can't see it.
And
What
I'm
am I
scared
meant
of
to
it.
do?
I'm scared of the ball.
I'm afraid of the ball.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hit by it.
I'm scared of the ball. I'm scared of the opposition. Second slip's having a bit of a chat. I'm scared of getting out. I'm scared of the drive there.
Yeah.
It's scary. I don't recognize the street names.
I'm scared of the existential implications of this. I've got to study. I've got a job. I'm performing in neither of them because I'm getting to training at 5 o'clock. It means I have to leave at 4. It's all wrong. My whole life's out of balance.
I'm scared of getting tinnier in the showers.
Exactly. And I still have to keep a front up in front of people. It's gone too long.
Anyway, that third match is in Wellington. There's been a community outbreak in Auckland.
Yeah, 4 reasons to leave.
So they're not. There's going to be
gonna be no one there.
No crowds. Hey, great turnout in New Zealand for those
was
couple of
good
games.
to
Now,
see.
midweek, and full houses. That's good.
Yeah, it was just good to see people.
That's
Frightening,
true.
but good.
That's true.
Frightening is assumed.
Yeah, always be scared.
As an emotion.
Always be scared. Tough place to go, New Zealand.